This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth, and today is the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. And of course, here at Press for Truth, I'm very interested in the truth. I think the truth is important. I think the truth matters. And this is why in this video, we're going to give you exactly that. The truth about this particular day, the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. And I find it interesting that just 10 days ago, Canada launched a UN declaration targeting online disinformation. Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly has launched a United Nations declaration that calls for action to protect what it calls information integrity and to tackle disinformation. Well, guess what? I also am interested in information integrity. So let's do exactly that as we get to the bottom of exactly what's happening here on this particular day. Now, I'm sure people are going to remember when articles like this started coming out in late May of 2021. Remains of 215 children found at former Kamloops residential school. It was not long followed by images like this of Justin Trudeau kneeling down at the supposed unmarked grave sites of these young children who died in these residential schools. The only problem, guys, is none of this is true. This is absolutely fake news. No children were found at all. In fact, the lady who, the ground penetrating radar specialist who shared her findings at a press conference on July 15th after discovering this said, in her survey, she found that these 200 anomalies or targets of interest that she believed are possible grave sites, she said she stressed that hers was a preliminary investigation and, quote, only forensic investigation with excavation will provide any definitive results. This is the one who came up with all of this, saying, guys, this is just preliminary. I want to stress that this is preliminary. Only forensic investigation with excavation will provide definitive results. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Exactly that has happened. The investigation into the potential unmarked graves on First Nation has come up empty. According to the RCMP, Mounties say that after a year-long investigation into potential unmarked graves detected in the Western Manitoba First Nation, they have not found any evidence pointing to any criminal activities. Here we see from the National Post, excavation after 14 anomalies detected at former residential school sites found no evidence of graves. Ladies and gentlemen, this from the CBC, no evidence of human remains have been found beneath the church at this Pine Creek residential school site. Remember when she said only an excavation is going to provide definitive results? Well, guess what? The rest of the media around the world started catching on. Look at this from the New York Post. This is the biggest fake news story in all of Canada. Kamloops mass graves debunked by academics, folks. And we have this from the National Post, the year of the graves, how the world's media got it wrong on residential school graves. There's other international articles that started to figure this out. Alleged mass grave of Indigenous children at Catholic schools across Canada contains no bodies, excavation shows. As experts suggest, it's proof that the stories were fabricated. Well, they did find something, folks. Guess what they found? The residential schools' mass graves turned out to be underground rocks, as no bodies were found. That's what was actually detected, ladies and gentlemen. And I started reporting on this way back in June of 2021 when it was all just happening. I put this out. The truth about residential schools' mass graves, it wasn't genocide. It amplifies the war on Christianity. And then, 83 churches ended up getting burned down or vandalized since the announcement of what happened at these residential schools. Guys, I went around interviewing people on the streets of Vancouver. These are the people who want the churches to burn down. And remarkably, the majority of people I talked to in this video were fully in favor of burning down Catholic churches because of what they believe that evidence suggested happened when, to this date, nothing nothing has been found. Justin Trudeau went on to condemn all these, people setting Catholic churches on fire, saying, guys, this is not the way to go here. But then he followed that up with an Islamophobia summit, which I suggested was a total slap in the face to these churches who are facing arson. Christphobia is the real problem here, ladies and gentlemen. And then you had the Pope, who ended up perpetuating this mass graves genocide hoax when he announced that it was just that, apologizing for something he didn't do and something that isn't even proven to be true. Well, today, again, 10 days after the Canadian government wants to launch a targeting against disinformation, I'm going to show you how this disinformation is still rather rampant today when it comes to the truth about this day. In fact, I'll show you this Canadian Museum of History, which just acquired this artist's memorial to the victims of the country's residential schools. And this is a clear case of fake news and propaganda that's just going to blow your mind, ladies and gentlemen. We'll also look at this quiz. How much do you know about the history of Canada's residential schools? Well, apparently, a lot of Canadians aren't really interested, or maybe they know because they've been watching Press for Truth. I mean, nearly half of Canadians won't recognize the Truth and Reconciliation Day, according to this poll. It just revealed that almost half of Canadians are not planning on doing anything to recognize Truth and Reconciliation Day, which takes place today, Saturday, September 30th. Again, hopefully they've been paying attention to my work, like this one, Unmarked Graves Investigation comes up empty, no criminal activity found, surprise, surprise. Or this one, Kamloops mass graves debunked by academics as the biggest fake news story in Canada. Guys, I'm going to cover all of this and much, much more in this video. But really quickly, before we do, I'd ask that you check me out here at pressfortruth.ca/donate if you do appreciate my efforts to bring you this important information. Here you can do a one-time donation with PayPal. You can contribute Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies by clicking there. You can join me on Subscribestar with a monthly reoccurring contribution. Thank you so much to anybody who contributes in that way. Guys, you can also send an e-transfer to dan@pressfortruth.ca, which is particularly easy for Canadians to do. And if you like to keep things old school, guys, you can send stuff to my P.O. box. Links for all of this are located in the description below. Thank you so much to everyone who takes the time and effort today to support my work here at Press for Truth. Now, I want to start this off with pointing out that way back in June of 2021, when I put out this video, The Truth About the Residential Schools Mass Graves, it wasn't genocide, and it amplifies the war on Christianity. I got a lot of people who were very, very upset with me. And they were mad that I would not recognize, what happened to the Indigenous children. So I immediately put out this post on Facebook, and I just quickly want to read this one for you here. Let me get rid of this. So I put this out again, June 28, 2021. It is deplorable that the Canadian government allowed Native children to be kidnapped and forced into schools for the purposes of assimilation. That is messed up on so many levels. The RCMP of their day were monsters for doing that. Stories of abuse and rape by priests demand justice be done, and they will certainly deal with God's wrath on Judgment Day. Now, here's the part of a lot of the people seem to be missing. Back then, a lot of children were very sick from both disease and malnourishment. On top of that, living conditions were not up to par for children, and many got sick while away from home, causing their untimely deaths. Tuberculosis was rampant in children at the time, and many were entering into the schools with the disease. So yes, some children were killed on purpose, and that must not be overlooked, but the majority died from starvation and disease, which was not on purpose. What happened was a terrible atrocity. No child should ever be forcefully removed from their parents. But today's far-left activists want to exaggerate what happened so as to paint Canada as a systemically racist nation that needs to be destroyed so that their Marxist utopia can replace it. What the Catholic Church did was downright evil. But that has nothing to do with Christians today, so please, Stop burning and vandalizing churches. This is not how we move forward together on this issue. Canadians are not the enemy. The government is. And I just had to make that clear. And again, on that note, it is the Canadian government who has been perpetuating this mass lie and this hoax. They are the ones presenting disinformation, misinformation. They are the ones who have violated informational integrity, like what Minister Melanie Joly is calling for at the United Nations. They are the ones. As we've shown you, the Canadian press has already, caught up to this, but this has seemed to go into the back burner in the minds of the Canadian people as they just blindly continue to look for this National Day of Truth and Reconciliation when not a single body to this day has been excavated. Show me one bone at least, and maybe we will relook at these claims. But again, this is all fake news at this point. Now look at this from Canada's Museum of History. It says here, in 2021, the residential school's brutal legacy burst into the global spotlight with the discoveries of mass graves containing the remains of hundreds of First Nations children. And what do they link to here when they say it was discovered? Yeah, it's back to July of 2021 article, How Canada Forgot About More Than 1,300 Graves at Former Residential Schools. Where are they talking about? Kamloops, Cranbrook, the places that have been debunked, already. This is purely fake news. Look at this. In response to the discovery in Kamloops where the remains of 215 children were ultimately identified, no, they weren't. What the hell are you talking about? 215 children weren't ultimately identified. What are they linking to here as a source? We click to it and it's the National Post from June of 2021. What happens next after this shocking discovery? Again, they already excavated the place. It turned out none of this has been found. None of it is true. Even the National Post, who way back then put this out, had to follow it up with this. The Year of the Graves, how the world's media got it wrong on the presidential schools. So here we have this absolutely insane piece of propaganda and fake news coming from, what is this? The Art newspaper, talking about Canada's Museum of History acquiring this new, memorial to the victims, perpetuating this nonsense. And so does this quiz. How much do you know about the history of Canada's residential schools? Warning, this quiz contains details, it says, about these experiences at these schools. So let's do this. What color is associated with the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation? Everybody knows it's orange. I think that actually stems from, it might have used to be, pink or red back into the day, but it switched to orange. Don't quote me on that, but let's quickly refresh here because it's not working. Okay, orange. Next question. How many children and teens attended residential schools? More than 150,000, 11,045. Well, we already know that more than 150,000 were doing that. In May 2021, remains of 215 children were found at a former residential school using ground penetrating radar, period. This is not true. Please show me the evidence of this. Look at this. In May 2021, remains of 215 children were found using ground penetrating radar. No, they weren't. Rocks were found. Even the lady who found all of this said she stressed that this is preliminary. Only forensic investigation and excavation will provide definitive results. Again, that happened. The RCMP did it. They didn't find a single frickin' thing. This is absolutely insane that this poll here would phrase this question, because none of these answers are correct, because this is a lie. This is false. This is fake news, ladies and gentlemen. And again, I don't want to come off as insensitive here. Obviously, terrible, terrible things happened in that time period that we're dealing with all these kids being taken, forcefully taken from their homes and put into these schools. But a lot of these people were Christian missionaries who were trying to bring the gospel of the good news of the gospel to these people, and it wasn't a massive genocide. That's the truth, the hard truth that we have to get to today, ladies and gentlemen. That's the disinformation that is actually going on online as they continue to perpetuate the idea that this is like definitive fact and proof, when to this day, not a single bone or body has been found. If you found one, let me know, ladies and gentlemen. Or if you think I'm wrong, please tell me in the description below. But as I said in the beginning of this video, the truth is important. The truth matters. And I will continue to do exactly that, to press for truth here on this channel, no matter who it might, offend. Like I said, the truth is important moving forward. Guys, if you do appreciate my efforts to continuously try to bring you this information, please don't forget to check me out at pressfortruth.ca/donate. Again, you can check the top link in the description below. If you're watching this on my website, just go to any of the platforms that this is posted on, like Rumble or BitChute or Odyssey or Minds, and there you will find the links and the sources to all of this video as well. Don't just take it from me, guys. Check out these academics, who debunked this. Check out the National Post article, who did a big, long piece basically breaking down how this is all nonsense and fake news. And then, catch up on all the previous work that I've done on this. All of this is going to be located in the description below. And that's all for today, guys. Once again, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to check that top link in the description if you want to support my efforts at pressfortruth.ca/donate. Also, don't forget to click that thumbs up button. Make sure you share this video with your friends and family who you think need to see it the most. And stay tuned, guys. We're going to have more video reports coming soon, God willing. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.